Can you give us a little introduction for yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm Sarah Hymanson, and I'm the chef and owner, along with my partner Sarah Kramer, of this place Kismet and Mad Capra downtown.
What brought you to LA?
What brought me to LA? LA is just a very exciting place to be right now. It feels like there's a lot of young energy. It's funny, I never thought I would move to LA. It was not, I had this idea of what LA was and is, and it was not something that I wanted. And then Sarah and I were working together in New York at a restaurant that she opened called Glassery, and we decided to leave together and strike out on our own. And we visited LA together. She was like, just come visit, just visit LA. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll visit. And then when I arrived, I was like, oh, it's actually so different from what I thought it was going to be like. It's so urban, it's very diverse. It is not only Hollywood, beach, palm trees. It's really so much more than that. And it was very clear that it was a place that was about to undergo a lot of change. I think that I love New York. I think it's the greatest city in the world. It's such a hard place to live and be creative because it's prohibitively expensive. LA is also expensive, but I do think that at a similar time to when Sarah and I moved here, a lot of other people from New York and from other major cities in the world moved here because of the energy, the creative energy that is here right now, and it's a little bit more sustainable in terms of lifestyle.
When you started Kismet, what was your vision? What did you want to create with this place?
We wanted a space that was open all the time for people, a place that could be a real neighborhood hub, also a place where people could have a lot of different kinds of experiences, where people could come in daily and have a coffee and a pastry, or come in, wait for these people to walk by. Also a place for people to come and have a really special sort of once in a while experience at night. So a place where people could have a lot of different kinds of experiences, a place that felt considered and welcoming, but also casual.
At what point, when you and Sarah met, at what point did you feel like we can actually start a business together?
You know, at what point did we think we could start a business together? It's funny, I think we decided we could start a business together before we knew each other all that well. And we'd been working together for maybe less than half a year. But I think it felt right from the beginning. We were like, oh, this makes sense. We have a similar language surrounding food, and we work in a similar way.
Did you click immediately?
No, actually. Well, so we met a few years prior. We overlapped very briefly at a space that I worked at for only a few months. It was like a kitchen supply store, school with a butcher shop inside of it. And Sarah was working for the butcher shop, and I was working for the store, school space. And really, very, very briefly, we overlapped. And then I went and worked at Blue Hill, and she had previously worked there. And I was like, oh, see you later, I'm gonna go work at Blue Hill. And she was like, oh, cool, have fun. I was like, we didn't know each other at all. Okay. And then when I went and worked for her, she had just opened Glassery. I think think once we started working together, our relationship made sense. We did click once we actually started working together. Prior to that, we were like, who is this person? Why do I care about them? But
your recipes at Kismet here and Macapra reflect Mediterranean and Middle Eastern cooking, like you just said. What fascinates you about these cuisines? Why did you choose this inspiration for your restaurant?
Well, Sarah, my partner Sarah's mother is Israeli, so it's food that she grew up eating. It's also food. I was a vegetarian for a large part of my young life, so it's a food that I ate a lot of as well. But really, so we were cooking it because it was the food that she was cooking when we essentially met. When we started cooking it together, we were cooking that cuisine, so we decided to continue to cook it. I think it's very fascinating because there's so many cuisines within Middle Eastern cuisine. Like, what is Israeli food? Israeli food is so many different foods, and that's very exciting to me.
There is a strong presence of female chefs in LA at the moment, or you told me before it's actually not just at the moment. In general, there's a history of female chefs in the city. But at the moment we have a lot of young female chefs. How does this change the food scene, or does it change the food scene? What there's happening at the moment?
How does the presence of young female chefs change the food scene here? Well, I was saying that I know that Los Angeles has a lot of sort of legacy female chefs: Nancy Silverton, Suzanne Goen, Mary Sue Milliken, and Susan Fenneker. So there is a history of female chefs in Los Angeles, and I think it's important to remember that. Also, a lot of young female chefs striking out here right now, and that's very exciting, and it certainly creates an incredible community. And I think that the conversation is a little bit different.
In what way?
There's been a lot of articles written recently about the way that female chefs are changing the culture of the kitchen. And I think that there are certain things that were acceptable in the past in terms of the way that people were treated. And I am going to say that is the way that construct was very male in terms of the way that people spoke to each other and what was deemed acceptable language and professionalism. And I think that we're trying to create we're trying to challenge those norms by treating people like people.
Is it easy, or is it difficult to break that? Do you feel like people are so used to treating women in a certain way in this business, or how easy or how difficult is it to change this system?
I don't know what these people want. I think it's hard to challenge the system, but also feels very basic to us. Like, this is just the way it needs to be, and it's our responsibility to the industry also to be bold and stand our ground and treat people how they should be treated. And sometimes people come in here and they think they can behave in a way that is acceptable in other kitchens, and right away we just say that it's not.
And also in regards to payment, is there a huge gap between what men make in this business and what women make in this business?
No one makes very much in this business. We're trying I'm not going to equate money and gender in this situation, though it's always an issue. There is a big problem with how much people get paid to cook.
In general.
In general.
Men or women.
In general. And we're trying to change that. We do take a service. We do have a service charge, so we take 20% gratuity on every check, and we are attempting to try to even the gap between the front and the back of the house, which is a really challenging thing to do. But again, it's our responsibility. If this industry is going to succeed, we need to.
So what's your greatest kitchen hack? Do you have a genius tip
Kitchen hack.
you can share with us?
Kitchen hacks.
Most genius tip from your kitchen.
I can tell you that there's something that I use a lot is perforated pans inside of non-perforated pans to cook things very gently and then be able to pull them out of the liquid. So whether it's more like comfy, some lemon slices, and very gently pull them out of the water or the fat, or poached shrimp, instead of like using a strainer to pull them off, yep. Great.
If you could choose one person to cook a meal for you, who and what would it be?
Can't do that one. I can't decide.
Your mother.
My mother is not a good cook.
Your father.
Yeah, neither one of them cook very much, and they're not nourishing. They want me to cook for them.
You're going to have 10 friends over for a spontaneous dinner. What will be on the table?
What will be on the table? A lot. I'm going to have 1 million friends over for dinner. A lot of different dishes. Tons of marinated vegetables. Probably probably rice. Oh, that's my pantry. My pantry staple, also rice. I love rice. Not gonna lie about that.
You would have a bowl of rice.
I would have rice and a lot of different dishes. Lots of marinated and pickly vegetables. Fermented things.
You ferment.
Is that a pantry staple? Fermented
yes,
foods?
of course,
Definitely for me, fermented foods.
You do your own.
Oh yeah.
Great.
I love it. All kinds of fermented and dried
Okay.
veggies.
So you have a huge pantry.
We have a good, solid pantry.
Do you prefer to cook on your own or together with others?
I like to cook with others. I prefer to cook with others, but I also love to cook for people. Sometimes it's hard as a chef to cook with people that aren't also cooks, but I love it when it happens.
Okay. People are shy or you're
I
impatient?
think people are shy,
Okay.
and it's sometimes just easier to do it myself. But I love to cook with other people.
Okay.
I do love it. There are certain people that it's easier to cook with than others.
Yes.
People that I've been cooking with for a long time.
Some people need more instructions.
Yes. And I'm like, just do it. Whatever you feel, don't ask me. I trust you. Whatever you make will be great. But that's really how I feel.
But they don't.
Yeah.
Do you prefer improvised or planned meals?
That's a good question. Do I prefer improvised or planned meals? It depends on the occasion. The mayor of the block right here, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello. Let's do the question again. Do you
prefer improvised or do I prefer improvised or planned meals? Really depends. I think there's always some amount of planning before you start. I like improvised meals at home and planned meals elsewhere.
Okay. Which meal would you never cook again?
I know that Sarah and I have said this to each other before. We'll never do this again. But I can't think of anything right now. What meal would I never cook again?
Ended up in a total disaster. Christmas meal. Date dinner.
I don't have one.
A cake.
I don't have one.
Everything turns out perfectly.
No, most things I don't like, and I adjust. But I think that's important. Is sticking with something and trying, because normally there's a good idea there, and it's just about reframing the idea. And I try not to give up.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's all? We're good?
Yes, you're done.
Great.